We're coming off a winning Sunday, and we got two games for Monday Night Football. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back in to another episode for Just a Bet Outside. I am your host, Steven, and we're back to wrap up Week 15. We got two Monday Night Football games. Gotta love that. But Week 15 Sunday was absolutely insane. The morning session gave me three of my worst beats at the same time that I've ever had. But guess what? We still had a great winning weekend. We'll go over all that in the recap in just a little bit, but we were oh so close to a absolutely incredible Sunday, but we'll still take a nice winning weekend. Quick reminder, NBA Best Bets video out, will be out after this for the Monday slate of games. Got another weird NBA week. Tuesday is just the one NBA Cup championship, and then Wednesday is no NBA games at all. So anyway, so we will have that video out shortly, but before we get anything, you guys know Outlier, the best player prop research tool on the market today. Any graphics you see in this video are from that app. And then if you want to give it a try, click that link below for the 7-day free trial. All right, here we go. It's time to get into the dad joke now. And it's almost Christmas. That's right. So we got to go Christmas style. Here we go. What's the best Christmas present? A broken drum. You just can't beat it. Yep, that happened. In this video, we're going to recap Week 15. It's going to be a big one. And then we're going to preview and give our best bets for the Bears at Vikings. Just a teaser. I got two bets at 1 unit each. Love that one. And then preview best bet the Falcons at Raiders. Don't love that game, but we'll go over that one, give you one best bet, and then we'll finish it with the recap. So hit that like button if you haven't already. Leave a comment below to help this channel continue to grow. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button as we are now on our way to 35,000 subscribers. All right, let's get it started. And that means it's recap time. All right, here is the Week 15 full recap like we do every Sunday night. Let's get into it, guys. The teaser, Washington -1.5, Buffalo +8.5. Washington was dominating the entire game. They miss a field goal. Saints get the ball one more time with Spencer Rattler, drive down the field, and with 3 seconds to go, they have one more play. They score a touchdown with zeros on the clock. And what do? They don't kick an extra point to go into overtime for us to still win. They go for 2. They don't get it. Whether they got it or not, it didn't matter. I needed the Commanders to win by 2. They won by 1 freaking point. The Bills +8.5. Such an easy winner, too. Jets team total over 20.5. Little sweaty there in the fourth quarter for sure, but they got the job done. And then under 47, Miami, Houston. Honestly, that game wasn't really a sweat, and it should be even less of a sweat. There's some turnovers that led to points, but nice, easy win there. Almost got our 3-1 day on game bets. The over 44 Indy Denver ended on 44 with Jonathan Taylor dropping the ball at the goal line just before he crossed the goal line. I mean, that game should have went over easily, but either way, we take a push, no loss. And then player props. Lamar Jackson at 26.5. This one got sweatier than I wanted to, but like I said in the handicap, it was going to be a blowout. That's why I liked it. He's probably going to sit for some of the fourth quarter. Sure enough, at like 24 attempts, he goes down and they are crushing him and he does not come back in the game. So that was nice. Amon-Ra St. Brown over 66.5. Mention a possible ladder. If you did, you probably crushed it because I don't know if he ended with 200, but my goodness, did he have one heck of a game. Then here's one of the crazy ones, guys. Isaiah Pacheco over 13.5 rush attempts. He had 12 with 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. 12. I needed 2 more the rest of the game. The game script was great. They were ahead the whole game. They just run it to Kareem Hunt. He was more effective, so I get it a little bit. Then he comes in, gets his 13th attempt with 2 minutes left in the game, but he runs out of bounds like an idiot. And because of that, the coaches pull him and don't let him get the next play because he needed to stay in bounds. So he gets punished. Next guy comes in. They run the ball. That would have been his 14th. Either way, guys, it was brutal. End on the hook. Allen got the job done. I think he had like 60 rushing yards. Chris Boswell, first half cash. Easy winner for him. He is automatic. And then here is the hardest one to take of the entire day. I added Adam Thielen over 52.5 receiving yards. I almost went with 50 plus instead at -130. I did not, and look what happens. He ends on 51, but that's not the crazy part. He ends on 51 with a negative 14-yard catch. Yeah, you can't make that up. One catch went for negative 14, and he comes up 2 yards short. Just no words. And then Seahawks money line, that was just a bad read. That was one of my actually only losses this weekend. That was actually a bad read. The Seahawks got dominated in the trenches. That was pathetic to watch. Geno made huge mistakes, and then he was hurt the whole fourth quarter, but it was ugly. My Hawks sucked. Anytime touchdowns. Garrett Wilson touchdown. That was huge. First quarter cash, or first half at least. I don't remember. That was nice. And then how about air fryer? Pat Fryermuth, anytime touchdown, +330. That was absolutely sweet. I think the biggest long shot we have hit for touchdowns this year. And the one that was the biggest favorite, actually, out of these three. Tyreek Hill did not get the job done as the Dolphins did not score much. So we will gladly take a 2-1 on those touchdowns. There it is, 8-5, up 2 units on the weekend. But again, here's the deal. This is crazy. 1 point, 1 carry, and 2 receiving yards away from an 11-2 day. I mean, again, I love the reads. So probably my best weekend when it comes to the reads. And one of the best weekends, obviously, 1-2 units has been a rocky last month or so. So we'll take the winning weekend, even with the bad beats. And that's what we got for the recap. Now, before we get out of here, though, let's check out page 2 to break down everything. And there it is. There's all the breakdown. Obviously, game bets have been the struggle, although lately they've been a little bit better. Player props have been carrying us. Let's just face it, 11.03. And then anytime touchdowns creeps into the plus number now. Overall record for the season, 125 and 124. We are up 3.17 units. So that's the overall record. And we got 2 games to get into. So let's talk some Monday Night Football. All right, this first one takes us out to Minnesota where the Vikings host the Bears. Vikings -6.5 total in this one is 44 points. Let's talk about the game real quick. I have 2 best bets, both 1-unit plays. I have not done that very often, so hopefully it comes through for me. Bears coming in on a great 7-game losing streak after a terrible loss to San Fran last week. It looked like their new interim head coach had absolutely no idea what he was doing. Vikings are the surprise of the NFL, 11-2. They just absolutely demolished Kirk Cousins. We have one team that finds ways to win and another team that has just found ways to lose. Earlier meeting, Vikings won in Chicago in overtime 3 weeks ago. Bears were down 11 with 2 minutes to go. They ended up scoring, get an onside kick, tied it, and then ended up losing in overtime. Swift struggled that game, 13 carries, 30 yards. Darnold and Caleb Williams both threw for over 300. Aaron Jones had a great game, 22 for 106. Now, against the spread numbers, Vikings 8-4-1 against the spread this year. Bears 6-5-2. Vikings 2-2 against the spread as a home favorite. Bears are 1-4-1 ATS as road underdogs. Both teams are 8-5 to the under this season. Notable injuries: Bears DeAndre Swift questionable with a groin. I do think he's going to play. Center Ryan Bates is out. And then the Vikings cornerback Stephon Gilmore is questionable. So that's what we got for the preview. Like I said, I got 2 1-unit plays in the same game. I do not usually do this often. And there's no way it's going to backfire, right? No way. But here we go. First best bet. Jordan Addison over 50.5 receiving yards, -120 on BetMGM for 1 unit. If you can only get this at like 51.5, 52.5, I like it there. I think he gets 60 plus here. He's been one of the best receivers in the entire NFL the last 4 weeks. Teams are giving a lot of attention to Justin Jefferson with double teams, and it's opened up the field for Addison. He himself has said that playing against or with Justin Jefferson has really helped him. But we're going to dive into more stats. So let's go check out Outlier now and look at all the numbers. So here it is, last 5 games. It's honestly changed, like I'd say last 4 weeks, but over this line now on 4 straight weeks, 2 games over 130 yards. This guy is absolutely crushing it. He had 162 yards versus the same Chicago team just 3 weeks ago. And then we scroll down. Let's look at some more numbers, guys. Receptions targets, he has 8, 9, 6, and 12 targets the last 4 weeks. So you can tell the Vikings made a concerted effort to say, you know what? We hit this midseason slump. How do we get out of it? Well, we don't force the ball to Justin Jefferson when a million guys are defending him. We get Jordan Addison involved, and boy, has it worked. He is a big play guy. Look at his average yards per reception, and you can see he's averaging 17.8 yards per reception in his last 4 games. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit, but look at his longest reception now, just to show you he's such a big play guy right now. 47, 69, 26, and 49-yard catches in the last 4 games. 3 of those are either over this line already or just right at the line, 47 and 49. And that's what I expect here in this one. But he has 3 separate catches that were, or other than those 3 catches, he also had other catches that were pretty close to that. I mean, he is making some big plays. You don't get over 100 yards for nothing unless you make those big splash plays. Now, matchup, you're going to look over there on the right side. The Bears, they're 10th versus wide receivers. You don't love to see that, but it is kind of an average matchup. But here's the difference with that. We saw this in the last meeting with the Bears. Like we just talked about, they struggled. They absolutely struggled to defend Jordan Addison. The reason the Bears' number 1 DB is obviously what's his name? Jalen Johnson. Couldn't think of his name. He's going to shadow Justin Jefferson. That allows Jordan Addison to go against guys like Tyreek Stevenson, who, if you look at his grade on PFF, 93rd out of 123 qualified DBs in coverage grade. I mean, he cannot cover it all. Jalen Johnson, yes, he is a stud, but he's obviously going to be on Justin Jefferson. I expect Addison to burn him yet again. And so I like that one. But more Addison numbers the last 4 weeks. 10th most targets, 35. That's right, 10th most in the entire NFL. 3rd most receiving yards in the NFL, 410. 3rd most air yards in the NFL with 410. ADOT, 12.6. If you don't know what ADOT is, that's average depth of target. 12-6, you like to see that. Obviously, a big play guy. This number's just too low for Addison. He crushed Chicago a few weeks ago. He's been crushing everybody he's facing because he's getting a ton of targets, a ton of looks. I love Addison here to go over 50.5. He could get this in a couple big plays, so maybe a ladder spot as well. But that's my first best bet. The second one, DeAndre Swift under 15.5 rush attempts, minus 130 on Bet365. Again, another 1 unit play. I'm eating some juice here. If you can only get 14.5, I still like it as long as you're getting, minus 110, minus 115 in that range. But first, Swift is questionable. I do know that. I think if he doesn't play, obviously we're going to get voided. But I think if he does play, but not a ton, obviously we're going to catch this bet pretty easily. So with an under, I'm not as worried about that. But he's gone under this now on 4 straight games. He did hit 14 rush attempts twice. One of those was versus this Vikings team 3 weeks ago. But he is back to struggling. He's averaging 2.8 yards per carry in the last 3 games. That's right, 2.8 yards per carry in the last 3. He's only had 1 carry in the last 6 weeks that has gone for more than 13 yards. That's right. In the last 6 games, he is just not making big plays. That's just the bottom line. The issue with this run game, when you watch the Bears, if you're a Bears fan, you get it. Their O-line is absolutely horrendous. It really is. They can't block anyone. It is crippling the run game, crippling the pass game, and everything. Now, the matchup versus the Vikings, if you've been listening and following the NFL all season, you know Minnesota has one of the top tier run defenses in the entire NFL. They've given up the 4th fewest yards to the running back position, and it's been like that all year. What do teams do against the Vikings? They decide not to run because the Vikings have given up the 3rd fewest rush attempts per game in the NFL at 22.5. Because why would you just keep beating your head into a wall? Honestly, that's what you do when you place this defense. And then game script, Vikings 7-point favorite. Bears have been awful in the first half of games. I expect the Vikings to have a big lead. In fact, I like them against the spread in the first half as well, because the Bears score like bottom 5 points per game in the first half and also give up like bottom 10 most points in the first half as well. But that was just a little side note. But I think that means we're going to see a lot of passing from Caleb Williams like we usually do in the second half. I like Swift under rush yards as well as either this or the rush yards, but I just don't think he gets enough carries in a game script like this. So give me DeAndre Swift under 15.5 carries as my second best bet to go along with Jordan Addison over receiving yards. And that's what we got for the Bears Vikings. And now let's talk the Falcons and Raiders. All right, we head out to Viva Las Vegas where the Raiders host the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons minus 5.5. Total in this one is 45 points. This one's ugly, I'm not going to lie. But let's preview this game. 2 struggling teams, obviously. Falcons 4-game losing streak. Raiders on a 9-game losing streak. ATS numbers, Falcons 5-8 against the spread this season. Atlanta is 3-3 ATS on the road. Raiders 5-8 ATS this season, 2-3 ATS at home. They are also 0-5 ATS last 5 games versus the NFC South, for whatever that's worth. Under is 4-1 in the Falcons' last 5 games. Over is 6-1 in the Raiders' last 7 home games. Notable injuries. Well, the star Max Crosby is now out for the season. Big loss there. Falcons pretty healthy. Nothing real notable here. And they've been obviously riding the run game of Bijan Robinson lately. That's for sure. So, again, I told you I don't love this game. I'm going to give you one bet that I like. It's going to be a half unit play, not like last game or anything. So, give me the under 45 at minus 116 on Bet365 for that half unit. Honestly, it's really a fate of these offenses. So let's start out with the Raiders. They're starting Desmond Ridder. If you guys don't know Desmond Ridder, he's pretty awful. I mean, he is bad. If you go back and look at the 11 full games that he played last season with the Falcons, actually, 9 of those 11 games went under this total, and some weren't even close. Ridder now has to start for a team in the Raiders that have no running game whatsoever. I mean, the worst run game in the entire NFL, probably. And he's facing a Falcons defense that they've been awful rushing the passer all season. We've been talking about it. Dead last in sacks, all that. But you know what? They're showing some signs of life the last 2 weeks. Even though they have struggled giving up points, they now have 9 sacks in the last 2 games, which is like almost what they had the entire first 13 weeks. So it's good to see that. Hopefully they can get a little bit of pressure. They don't have to get pressure for Desmond Ridder to struggle, though. Raiders averaging the 6th fewest points per game in the NFL at 18.2. I really can't see them all of a sudden lighting it up. I've never seen Desmond Ridder light it up in my life. So that's, although knock on wood, obviously. But Falcons, Cousins have been absolutely horrendous lately. Overall this season, 17 TDs and 15 interceptions. But the last 4 games for Cousins, I mean, guys, I had to do a double take. 0 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. It has been so bad for him. In fact, coach has even taken questions about, hey, is he still your starting quarterback? That's how bad it's been. But the offense lately scored 57 total points in the last 4 weeks, averaging 14.25. So in the last month, this team is averaging 14, while the other team is averaging around 18 the entire season. So the run game has looked good. Bijan has obviously taken over this backfield. but they're just struggling with turnovers, struggling in the red zone. Will they have turnovers again? That's something obviously that's hard to predict. The Raiders defense obviously is not great, but they compete. They're a decent run defense, right in the average. But at home on prime time, you like to think this is one of their final games where they can really give, they really give their full effort. Although they've been, honestly, they're not a team that looks like they're just giving up. They've been competing in games and things like that. So even without Max Crosby, I think they can slow down a struggling Atlanta Falcons offense enough. So overall, like I said, it's a big time fade of these two offenses. I don't see either team going off. Even if Falcons and Cousins goes back to a little bit of what he's been playing like, they can score 23 and we still cash this. This could be a 27-13 game. We still stay under. We just need to avoid the big turnovers, the special teams, kick out for return touchdowns, punt returns, things like that. As long as we can do that, which you never know with Desmond Ridder and Kirk Cousins, but if we can avoid that, I like this game to stay under. So that is my third and final bet for Monday Night Football. And now, before we get out of here, let's check out the recap. All right, there it is. Jordan Addison over 50.5 receiving yards at -120 for 1 unit. DeAndre Swift under 15.5 carries at -135. Eating the juice here, but on Bet365 for 1 unit. If you can only get 14.5, I like that as well. And then the under 45 in the Atlanta Vegas game, -116 at a half unit. If it's 44.5, obviously I like that too. So those are my three best bets for Monday Night Football. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Thank you guys, as always, for the support. Let's keep this winning train going. And again, NBA Best Bets video will be out after this as well. So hope everyone has a great Monday, and we'll talk to you soon.